Before I start the video about talking about the 26 World Cup, the picture you see is basically my predictions for the group stages and for the knockout thing and all that. And as you can see, I somehow in some way predicted Spain versus Argentina and Spain winning the tournament. So Nostradamus here, but I got lucky as fuck. Onto the program. Hey there, Heather. Hello there. Jeff Cutter Dialogue. Welcome you to the FIFA World Cup review. Bringing you the from Wikipedia because I don't have much knowledge. So anyway, the 2026 World Cup just finished today, July the 19th. 23rd World Cup. This tournament began in 2026 and concluded July 19th. 16 cities, 11 in the US, 3 in Mexico, and 2 in Canada hosted games. Canada's was Toronto and Vancouver. First World Cup in the 48 team era. I don't know if it'll be the only 48 team one. They wanted to bring it up to 64, but I don't think Spain, Portugal, Morocco, who hosts the 2030 World Cup, is up to it. The 2026 World Cup was the second World Cup to be hosted by multiple nations after 2002 when Korea and Japan did so. Mexico was the first country to host the World Cup 3 times. I'm actually shocked that Mexico was the first one to do so and not like US or Italy or France or even England. They hosted the 70 and 86 games. Mexico actually had the 86 games thanks to Colombia having financial problems. The US previously hosted 94 in Canada. This is our first time. They went to the June-July schedule because, Qatar was put in November-December because of the summer heat. Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. qualified as hosts. Cabo Verde, Carousel, Jordan, and Uzbekistan made their debuts. Cabo Verde was the only one of the 4 to make the final, to make the round of 32. So, yeah, you had a 2 and 3 chance to make it 16%. For the first time in tournament's history, the top 4 teams from the men's world ranking made the semifinals, but this was only since 1992, so can't really say that. Spain beat Argentina 1-0 after extra time. It was one for the books. Ferrer Torres, number 7. Another F Torres, number 7, winning a title for Spain. Fernando Torres won it in 2010 for Spain, and now Ferrer Torres is the hero of 2026. They became the first nation to be the reigning champs for the men's and women's World Cups. Well, Spain, this is their second world title. 2010 was their first. Mbappe actually scored 10 goals during the tournament. He's the Golden Boot winner for goals scored, and he's the all-time goal scorer now that Messi couldn't score in the final. And the first person since 1970 to score 10 goals in the tournament. I know it's a little biased because it is a 48-team tournament, so you had an extra game. And the first person to win multiple Golden Boots. No one ever did it, not even Pele. Rodri actually was given the Best Player award. Unai Simon won the Golden Glove for Best Goalkeeper. And Pau Cubarsí won the Young Player award for Best Young Player. I think it was like 18, isn't he? Yeah, he's the sixth back center back in world football, Pau Paredes, number 22. 7 million people attended matches, surpassing the 94 marks by the Americans. Yeah, Spain swept the Holland won the Fair Play Award. Okay. The expansion to 48 teams. A lot of people said that it would be 16 groups of 3, but the problem was, of course, there would be some collusion. So they decided to make some changes and made it get a 12 groups of 4, and then just top 2 teams make 24, and then 8 extra teams for around 32. New rules to 10-second substitutions. They had 10 seconds to exit the field being substituted on for. 5-second restarts. Not many people. Medical treatment. Any field player who receives medical attention on the field must leave the field and wait for 1 minute before returning to play. Expanded VAR, video assistant referee, that can review and overturn wrongly awarded corner kicks, certain attacking fouls, and clear mistakes on red cards. And all that mistaken identity. Mouth covering red cards to stop insulting behavior that's concealed to avoid lip reading. Any player who covers his hand with his mouth with his hand, arm, or shirt will be sent off. Anyway, so another major change was the tiebreaker format when 2 or more teams finish the group stage with an equal number of points. The first tiebreaker criteria is head-to-head, not the goal difference. So basically, it's the goal differential would be only used if the 2 teams were tied and tied their group stage match. Hydration breaks were actually introduced at the 2014 World Cup. In 2026, FIFA introduced the mandatory 3-minute hydration breaks. And the 3 minutes are included in the stoppage time. The clock is actually not stopped during the breaks, and then they add the 3 minutes. Of course, there's controversy was that the review rainy games on the pitch, but FIFA said that basically it was either all the matches or none of the matches. Back to schedule, blah 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 blah. So they decided to do group stages from 11 to 27th. The knockout stages started the next day, June 28th, and went to July 3rd. Round 16, July 4th to 7th. Quarterfinals from the 9th, on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. The semifinals July 14th to 15th. Third place, July 18th, and final July 19th. The whole selection, the U.S., Canada, and Mexico beat Morocco 134 to 65. So it was just amazing and all that. Iran actually didn't vote for either bid. Cuba, Slovenia, and Spain abstained from voting. I would have went with Morocco, and Ghana was ineligible to vote. But Morocco got lucky because they got to be part of the 2030 World Cup alongside Portugal and Spain. Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay will also host a few games down in South America to celebrate the centennial of the World Cup being started in there. 41 cities went for it all, but in the end, there were plenty of things. Mexico City, Stadio Azteca, 5 games. New York, New Jersey, MetLife, 8 of them, including the final. Dallas's AT&T Stadium had 9. Los Angeles' SoFi had 8. Kansas City's Arrowhead actually had 6. San Francisco's Levi's had 6. Houston Energy Stadium had 7. Philly's Lincoln Financial Field had 6. Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz Stadium had 8. Seattle's Lumen Field had 6. Miami's Hard Rock Stadium had 7. Boston's Gillette Stadium had 7. Vancouver's BC Place had 7. Monterrey's Stadio Monterrey had 4. Estadio Akron in Guadalajara had 4. BMO had 6 games and all that. So the qualification and all that, a lot of highlights and all that. They went with a 4 unseeded. They went to a 6-team interconfederational playoff and all that. So yeah, so Cabo Verde, Curacao, or Cape Verde as I call it, Jordan and Uzbekistan all made their World Cup debuts. Qatar made it through qualification instead of being the host like 2022. DR Congo, aka Zaire, and Haiti went their last previous tournaments, both were 1974. Iraq went 2-1 turn beforehand in 1986 and qualified in Austria. Norway and Scotland made their first World Cups in the 21st century as well. Italy shocked a lot of people by losing to Bosnia in the European playoff friendly on penalties. So they missed out on 3 consecutive World Cups. And as in 2018 2022, they were the only former champs not to qualify. And Italy was number 12 in the world. Asia got 19. Australia, of course, went to the Asian team to make it easier. Australia, Iran, Iraq, Nihon, or Japan, as I say, Jordan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, South Korea, and Uzbekistan. 10 African teams: Algeria, Cape Verde, DR Congo, Egypt, Ghana, Ivory Coast, Morocco, Senegal, South Africa, and Tunisia. CONCACAF, Canada, Curacao, Haiti, Mexico, Panama, and the United States, 6 of them. 6 from South America: Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, Uruguay. 1 from Oceania, 6 New Zealand, and 16 from Europe: Austria, Belgium, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Croatia, Czechia, England, France, Germany, Holland, Norway, Portugal, Scotland, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and Turkey. And where's it's actually weird. I'll be up front. The African nations, it should have been like South America should have had a 7th team, and I know there's 13, but I think South America should have had a 7th, and CONCACAF should have had a 7, and not 1 from Asia, 1 from Africa. But that's just me. There's officiating, opening ceremonies, blah blah blah. The 1000th FIFA match was Tunisia versus Japan. There was some Independence Day ceremonies and all that for the 4th of July which is ironic because Canada played in the 4th of July match, and that's America's holiday. Closing ceremony had some stuff. Jennifer Hudson performing the Stars Spangled Banner, and then there was a halftime show. There was 11 minutes. Oh, okay. Well, but 30 minutes. So yeah, so Madonna, Shakira, and BTS headlighted it. Chris Martin was curated. Justin Bieber, Burna Boy, Gustavo Tadamo also did the show. The group stages: Group A, so Mexico and South Africa qualifying automatically, with Korea and Czechia being knocked out. Africa shocked Korea 1-0. South Africa did 1-0 to move on. Mexico and El Perfecto. Switzerland, 2 wins and a tie. One Group B. Canada, 1 win, one loss, one tie. They they beat Bosnia on goal differential because they tied their normal game. Qatar, 1 point though. They did tie Switzerland. So they should be proud of themselves. Yeah, Canada and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Group C, Brazil and Morocco both qualified at 2-0 and 1. They tied each other and goal differential, so Brazil beat Morocco. Scotland got 3 points, a win and 2 losses. Like Scotland beat Haiti 1-0, but they freaking couldn't beat Morocco or Brazil or even tie them, which was critical because the tie probably would have got them in. Well, Haiti scored 2 goals in this World Cup, just like 1974. Group D, the Americans won. Australia won on goal differential for second place. Paraguay did get one of the third place squads, and Turkey won the game. But the Americans basically knew they were going to win the group, so they put their B team in. Turkey won 3-2. This was the only group, Group D, that saw every team at least win one championship, one match. Group E, Deutschland and Ivory Coast both did it, and the new tiebreak being head to head, Germany beat Ivory Coast. It didn't matter though. Germany beat Ivory Coast in goal differential as is, so that wasn't matter. Ecuador, a win, a loss, and a tie. That big win over Germany that did get them in to the next round. Curacao does have the memories of tying Ecuador. Group F, Holland won with 7 points. Japan, a win and 2 ties, took second. Sweden, a win, a loss, and a tie. One in the wardrobe, as I call it, made it in with 4 points. Tunisia, embarrassing themselves, giving up 12 goals. Group G, Belgium and Egypt both scored 5 points. They both tied each other, and Belgium won on goal differential. Egypt second, which was shocking. They got into the group stages. Iran tied all 3 games, and New Zealand only got one measly point. One of the key games was New Zealand sorry, New Zealand Egypt in Vancouver. Because heading into the game, New Zealand and Egypt had a combined record of 0-8-7 in the World Cup. Of course, the first World Cup, the first group stage games anyway. And Egypt won. But New Zealand now has 9 games in 3 tournaments without a win. They've had ties, but no wins. In fact, the only team that's 0-9, other than New Zealand, is Honduras. Look it up. Okay, Group H, Spain with 2 wins and a tie, but that was the only 2 results. Spain beating Uruguay and Saudi Arabia. They tied Cabo Verde, and everyone thought Spain sucks because they tied Cabo Verde. They should have beat the shit out of these guys. Uruguay and Saudi Arabia both had 2 points. Goal differential, Uruguay beat Saudi Arabia for third place. But yeah, Cabo Verde had 3 points. It took second place. Scotland, with a win, should have gotten ahead of Cabo Verde. But yeah, only 2 results. It's like Group G. Belgium and Egypt were the only ones to win a game in against New Zealand. 4 ties. That's not the record, actually, though. They said, 4 ties out of 6 games. That's the record, right? Nope. The record is 1990 in England's group with Holland, Ireland, and Egypt. Only one match, England Egypt, ended up with a result. The others were ties. Group I, France 3-0, Norway 2-1. France and Norway battled each other for first place, but Norway didn't really treat it like that way. Senegal were 1-2. They made it to the knockout stages because of their goal differential. Scotland must be pissed. And Iraq 0-3. They did score a goal against Norway, but everything else they sucked. And what's even more crazy is Group I was the only group that saw no ties. Every game was someone won, and only one game, Norway Senegal, was by 1 goal. Every other game was by multiple goals. Group J, Argentina, the defending champs, were 3-0, giving up only just 1 goal to Jordan, but that was late, and I think that was kind of like, laissez-faire. Algeria and Austria both win, loss, tie. Austria on goal differential got second place. Algeria did get one of those third place teams. They got 4 points. Jordan got nothing. They scored 3 goals though. That wasn't half bad. Group K, Colombia won the group, shocking Portugal in a sense. Congo, a win, a loss, a tie, actually made it. They tied Portugal 1-1. That was a massive shock. They lost to Colombia 1-0, but then they beat Uzbekistan because, well, DR Congo or Uzbekistan, who's going to freaking win? And poor Uzbekistan. They did give up 11 goals, but Tunisia gave up 12. In Group L, my favorite group, England. I said this was the group of death. England, Croatia, and Ghana. Even Ghana. I know their world ranking sucked, but never trust Ghana. England, 2 wins and a tie, and of course a pathetic 0-0 tie with Ghana, which almost cost us. England beat Croatia in a successful game 4-2. And I mean, not too many goals were scored. 13 goals were scored in the England group, and 6 of them came from England, Croatia. England beat Panama, thank goodness for that. Croatia beat Ghana 2-1 for second place. Ghana 1-1-1. Ranking at third place teams: Congo, Sweden, Ghana, Ecuador, Bosnia, Algeria, and Paraguay, all with 4 points. That was the magic. 4 was the magic number, and then Senegal, Iran, South Korea, and Scotland 3 points each. Iran actually got booted because Iran had a goal called back for offside by a freaking toe. Korea botched it. They not only lost to South Africa, they didn't even take the third place spot. So they were embarrassed. Scotland, well, this is their 9th trip to the World Cup. Let me show you. Scotland at the World Cup. Competitive record. Okay, Scotland at the World Cup. Here we go. FIFA World Cup record. 1950, they qualified, but they withdrew, saying that they needed to win the home championship group with Northern Ireland, England, and Wales. And if they didn't, they were going to reject that trip to Brazil. And even though they qualified, they withdrew. They were basically petulant. 54 and 58, they qualified, couldn't win a game to save their lives. 1954, Scotland famously mishandled the Swiss climate, wearing those very buttoned jerseys. And 1958, they just couldn't do anything about it. They didn't qualify until 1974. They were actually pretty good. They actually finished 1 win and 2 ties in their group. In the group of Yugoslavia, Zaire, and Brazil. Unfortunately, though, they actually lost on goal differential to Brazil because they only beat Zaire by 2 and Brazil beat by 3. Yugoslavia crushed everyone in that thing. 1978, they had a favorable group with Peru, Iran, and Holland. They had to finish just close to Holland. They shockingly lost to Peru. People didn't think Peru was worth it. And they tied Iran, which actually cost them dearly in the end. And in 1970, well, Scotland beat the Dutch, but the Dutch feel that they're B team. 1982, they won, lost, and tied in the group with Brazil, the Soviets, and New Zealand. They beat New Zealand. They tied the Soviets, lost to Brazil. Well, of course it's Brazil. Unfortunately, though, they lost on goal differential to the Soviets because they gave up 2 goals to New Zealand, and that cost them. 1986, they only had 1 point. Uruguay basically kicked them off the pitch to make sure they didn't qualify. 1990, all they needed was a tie against Brazil after choking against Costa Rica but beating Sweden. They needed a tie against Brazil, but Jim Layden had a goalkeeping error. 94, they missed, and in 98, they were with Brazil, Morocco, and another team, can't remember, but they only got 1 point. And then in 2026, they won over Haiti, but lost the next 2. And yeah, they only have won 5 of 26 World Cup games. And they have yet to make a knockout stage. 0 for 9. Tunisia is actually 0 for 7. In the knockout stages, let's go through it quickly. Canada went first against South Africa in Los Angeles, and Eustachio's goal in stoppage time made it 1-0. Brazil, Japan. Japan actually had a 1-0 lead in Houston against Brazil, but Casemiro and Martinelli scoring goals. Well, Martinelli's was late in stoppage time. Germany and Paraguay in Foxborough, home of my Patriots. Hartwitz scored for Germany and Ciso for Paraguay. Germany had a second goal waved off because of a foul on the Paraguayan goalie in the first half of extra time. They went to penalties, and Paraguay won in penalties 4-3. Holland and Morocco went to penalties in Guadalajara. Gakpo scored a goal, and it was bittersweet because it was 3 days after his newborn son had passed. And then Morocco scored in stoppage time. Diop, not Papa Boba Diop. But anyway, on penalties, the Morocco beat the Dutch. Well, Morocco showed their penalty problems. I mean, they beat Portugal and Spain on those 4 years prior. In Dallas, Norway won 2-1. Nusa scored, then Diallo for Ivory Coast, but Irving Haaland proving why he's so good. France beat Sweden 3-0 in East Rutherford. In New York, Mbappe with a pair, Barcola with one. Mexico beat Ecuador on home turf at Azteca, Cures, and Raul Jimenez doing the job. England beating DR Congo in Atlanta on Canada Day, which was shocking because, Congo was up 1-0 goal by Sapanga. Fortunately, Kane in the 75th minute saved the day, scoring and then scored a second goal. It's akin to Cameroon, England, 1990, when Cameroon was up by one. Gary Lineker had to score 2 key penalties. Belgium versus Senegal. Senegal was up 2-0 in goals by Diarra and Sarr in Seattle. It would look like Belgium was fucked. But Belgium remembered they were down 2-0 to Nihon Japan in 1990 and 2018 and pulled it up. Lukaku and Tielemans scoring the winning penalty before penalty kicks. Santa Clara hosted U.S. Bosnia. U.S. won 2-0. Balogun scoring Tielemans, but unfortunately Balogun picked up a red card for a foul. And of course, the big controversy was Trump trying to help out, trying to get FIFA to suspend that red card. Spain beat Austria in Los Angeles. Well, U.S. Bosnia, that was also on Canada Day, Belgium, Senegal as well. Yeah, Spain beat Austria 3-0. Arizabo with 2, Porro with 1. Wait, what's the name? Pedro Porro. Portugal, Croatia, one of the best games of the tournament from T Dot. I think it's the best game that on Canadian soil was Portugal, Croatia. Back and forth, the fan bases there was a massive Croatian population in both Toronto and Portuguese population in Toronto as well. CR7 scoring on a penalty after Perisic scored, and then Gustavo Ramos scoring a key goal. And Croatia thought they tied it, but it was ruled offside. Switzerland beat Algeria in Vancouver, and Bolo and Nadoy scoring the goals. Australia, Egypt in Dallas went to penalties. Well, Australia was down 1-0 and got lucky on an own goal, and then Egypt beat Australia on penalties. Argentina took on Cabo Verde in Miami and were shocked that Cabo Verde hung with them. Messi scored, and then Duante scored 1-1 tie. Lisandro Martinez made it 2-1, and then Lopez Cabral tied it at 2, but then a bad own goal sunk Cabo Verde. Colombia beat Ghana in Kansas City on goal by Arias way early. Round of 16 started the 4th of July, which was Canada against Morocco, which was shocking because, remember, the Americans played on Canada's national holiday and Canada playing on America's holiday. How ironic. Canada got crushed 3-0 by Morocco. Onani scoring twice, Raimi scoring once. Canada probably hoping they would beat Morocco, but Morocco proved their wildness. In Philly, France won only 1-0 over Paraguay. Mbappe's penalty. Paraguay kind of got lucky. Norway, Brazil in New York. Irving Haaland picked up a pair of goals. Neymar scored on a needless penalty. Brazil actually had a penalty saved. I can't remember. I don't think it was Finney Jr., but someone missed a key penalty right off the bat, and Norway proved their worth against Brazil. At Azteca, England, Mexico, everyone said that England was going to be fucked. Well, Jude Bellingham scored 2 goals 2 minutes apart to make it 2-0. Queiroz made it 2-1. Harry Kane scored a penalty, while Jimenez scored a penalty. Fox scored 3-2 England. In Arlington and Dallas, Spain beat Portugal on a stoppage time goal by Miguel Marino, number 6. In the programs, and Portugal basically got booted because they were relying too much on CR7, or maybe CR7 was acting like a diva because Gonzalo Ramos guy who saved Portugal against Croatia, he basically wasn't on the bench. And of course, Belgium beating the Americans 4-1 in Seattle. That was the Balogun controversy. Tielemans scored for the U.S., but 2 goals by De Catalay, one by Fanakin and one by Roman Lukaku. The Americans were screwed, and I wonder how Belgium will get sanctions on them. Atlanta, Argentina versus Egypt. Egypt was up 2-0. Ibrahim and Siko said IKO. And it looked like Egypt was going to pull the rabbit out of their hat against Argentina. Too bad Mo Salah was in it. But Argentina stayed calm, cool, and collective, allegedly. Romero in the 79th minute, then Messi, and then Enzo Fernandez in stoppage time. Switzerland, Colombia went to penalties in Vancouver, the last game Canada would have, and Switzerland beat Colombia on penalties. Quarterfinals, the first quarterfinal was in New England. France took on Morocco and beat Morocco just like they did in the semis in 2022. Mbappe and Dembele scoring goals. Los Angeles hosted Spain versus Belgium, and it was close. Fabian scored for Spain, and then did Cateler. Unfortunately, Belgium had a problem because Thibaut Courtois actually was injured, so they had to go with the backup keeper, the guy from Man U. I think he's their backup, and he spilled the ball, and Miguel Moreno, the giant on the spot, made it 2-1. England needed extra time against Norway at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Jude Bellingham scoring both times. Shooter up scoring for Norway. So England was down 1-0 and then scored the next two. There was the controversy as Erling Haaland had pushed one of the England players and then Norway scored, but you can't do that. Argentina, Switzerland went to extra time in Kansas City. Even though when the Doe countered McAllister's goal to make 1-1, Alvarez scored and then Lazaro Martinez scored. In the semifinals, Spain beat France 2-0. Oizabal and Porro scoring the goals in Dallas. And in Atlanta, England, Argentina. England was supposed to beat Argentina. They scored first, Anthony Gordon, but then Enzo Fernandez and Lazaro Martinez scoring the goals. Third place, England, France 6-4. It was a kind of a farce in Miami. Declan Rice scored, then Konza, Saka with a hat trick. So he didn't deserve it. Bellingham scoring another one for England. France, 2 goals by Mbappe. Barcola scored one in Dembele. And of course, Spain 1-0 on the group with Ferran Torres in the 106th minute. 80,000 fans. Mbappe won the Golden Boot. Messi had 8 goals. Jude Bellingham and Erling Haaland with 7. Harry Kane and Dembele had 6. There were 14 own goals. Mohamed Hani with 2 own goals for Egypt. One against Belgium, one versus Australia, which is like unbelievable. Hat tricks, there were 4 hat tricks. Leo Messi, Jonathan David, Dembele, and Saka. Messi against Algeria in the group stage. Jonathan David hat trick over Qatar in the group stage, and Dembele hat trick against Norway in the group stage. And Saka for third place. Discipline, a lot of red cards and all that. Sithole, what a name. Red card the games against Mexico. Swane, red card against Mexico. He got booted for 3 games instead of the natural one. Cesar Montes got red card against South Africa and had served 1 against suspension. Mokona of South Africa, because of his 2 yellow cards in the first 2 match days, he got booted for 1 game. Then Tarek Mohammarafic against Switzerland got a red card, so he was gone for 1 game. Holman Ahmed got red carded against Canada and had to miss the game against Bosnia. And then Asim Matipo did so. Unfortunately, though, that red card was because of that tackle that kind of broke Ishmael Kone's leg for Canada. He got a 5-game suspension. He'll have to serve the last 4 outside the tournament after missing Bosnia Herzegovina. Miguel Almiron of Paraguay got red carded against Turkey. He couldn't play against Australia. Nathan Nagoy got red carded against Iran. In the group stage, he couldn't play against New Zealand. Cindy Lopez Cabral, 2 yellow cards, so he couldn't play against Saudi Arabia in the final match day. Diego Gomez of Paraguay, same thing, 2 yellow cards in 2 different match day matches, and then he had to miss round of 32. Reuben Sulaka of Iraq got red carded against Senegal. He'll have to serve his 1-game suspension outside the tournament. Augustin Canalbiel got a red card against Spain. The final group stage match, he'll have to serve his outside the tournament. Mo Lachine got 2 yellow cards in 2 different matches for Egypt. He had to serve suspension round 32 against Australia. Piro Hincapié of Ecuador got red carded against Mexico in the round 32, and they were gone, so 1 game. Balogun, of course, got the red card, and his man was suspended, probably because of intervention. Kwanzaa got red carded and got a 2-game suspension. The goalie coach for Egypt got red carded against Argentina, the Egypt. And Bolo got 2 yellow cards, meaning red card quarters against Argentina, helped to serve outside the tournament. Enzo Fernandez did all that, and Paredes after full time. So Argentina's World Cup ends with punches and in disgrace. Jeez, I must have missed that part. But yeah, Paredes. Well, we'll see what happens. So Spain technically won. First place, Argentina second, England third, France fourth. The point totals were the same. Mexico had 12 points. They would definitely be in number 6, if anything, but they don't go by point totals. Yeah, Holland had 8 total points. Germany had 7. Yeah, they would have been in the final 16 in essence instead of Egypt and Paraguay based on total points. Panama, Jordan, Haiti, Uzbekistan, Tunisia, and Iraq basically ended on no points, and goal differential means what to it. So Iraq technically took 48 points. If you won, you got $50 million. American runner-up gets 33 million. Third place gets 29 million. Fourth place gets 27 million. If you lose in the quarters, it's $19 million. If you lose in the round 16, like Canada, you get $15 million, and then $11 million if you go to round 32 and lose. And group stage, you get $10 million. So the golden boot, the golden ball went to Rodri for player of the tournament. Leo Messi was silver. Mbappe bronze. The golden boot, Mbappe with 10 goals, Messi with 8. Bellingham got the bronze boot. Uri Simon for goaltender, Golden Glove for goaltending. Young player is Paul Kubasi, and fair play to the Dutch. Got the branding and all that. The broadcasting rights, CTV was Canada's thing, and every match that didn't involve Canada was with the FIFA broadcasters. Sponsorship, advertising, FIFA festivals held everywhere. Tickets, they eventually ranged from $60 for group stage matches to over $6,700 for the final. But a lot, and the equivalent, and $1,600 US was the most expensive ticket for the 2022 World Cup. And they said they went with dynamic pricing and all that. Attendance, everyone set the records. FIFA announced the video game FIFA Heroes for release on the platforms. I don't think it's coming out. It came out yet for the PS5. Football Manager 26 says they'll have World Cup content. I feel pissed off. I don't think Football 20 Manager 26 is going to come out to North America on the PS5. There would be a Netflix published game called FIFA World Cup Launch Edition and all that. And in the same 2026, they went with ecosystem like FIFA, Super Soccer, Rocket League, and eFootball. The Panini sticker albums and all that. Symbols, the mascots were Maple, Sayu, and Clutch. Match ball, like that. The music, Shakira, Die Die with Burner Boy, and then DNA More Than a Game with Andre Borsello, EJ, and Megan B. Stallion. So, anyway, Titanium. Oh, yeah, Titanium. I had the series for the first match day, and then it went to special remix Die Die. And then DNA and Titanium, the David Guetta remix, was played after the national anthems before the kickoff. I knew it was like, that sounds familiar, but it's Titanium. Okay. And list of controversies. There were a lot of controversies for immigration visa policies for the Americas, Iran's participation that everyone thought was going to be stripped for Italy, maybe, drug cartel violence in Mexico, dynamic type pricing, Belagon's red card, and various other controversies. We won't be talking about that, but that's all. Well, FIFA Heroes, first licensed game with announced since 2022. Console, we don't, worldwide 2026. Now the question is, when is it coming for the PS? Is it coming out for the PS5? And it said current FIFA World Cup players and historical legends. Monetization. Fuck, I hate monetization. It was released June 24th. I don't think I really want to care about that. FIFA Manager 26 for the PS5, but that is, I believe, only in, yeah, PS5. But is it in North America on the PS5? Because I don't think it is. Yeah, I don't think so. And it says it was mostly negative reviews on Steam. Well, I'll stay away from that. FIFA World Cup Launch Edition. Only for Netflix. Oh, Netflix games and all that. Well, lots of things are critical, but yeah, the 2026 World Cup is over. On to Portugal, Spain, and Morocco for 2030. And all that. We'll find out about more of that 4 years later. Now everyone thinks can go back to normal, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Jeff Diamond. Adieu.